Look, self-made entrepreneur, no manure, I'm number one. Goose down, jacket, maverick, top gun. Do it B.I.G. like Biggie, big pun. Look, evil Knievel, I'm trying to stunt. Polo the horse, alligator, Lacoste. Ragu, Alfredo, basil, I'm dripping sauce. I just want that mozzarella, boy, by any cost. Try to stop me, I'm a Dutch top Mikhail.
Greetings and salutations. You all know the drill. I'm your host, David L. Moore. This is my special guest today. We got Mr. Demetrius Naylor. Comes highly recommended. I've been checking this brother out for a little bit, man, and he has an interesting car story. He got some interesting stuff going on, and he's going to definitely help us become a better version of ourselves because, you know, that's always the plan. So I say, man, let's dive right into it, man. Tell us about your car business journey, man. Where did you start? The middle? How did you get to where you are?
So I stumbled into the car business like most people, right? So most people stumble into the car business. Nobody plan. I don't know. There's very few people that plan. You know what? I'm gonna go into the car industry, right? So I had gotten out of the Marine Corps, and I was coming out of the Marine Corps in 2008, and I didn't have a plan. You know what I mean? I ended up sleeping in my car for a year and a half. I did everything. I was a bouncer. I was a professional chef. I was fought mixed martial arts. I did all the things, but I didn't have a plan. And I'm from Philly, so I wasn't going back to Philly,
right?
To you know what I mean, deal with that nonsense that was happening in Philly at the time. So I just was like, you know what? I'll stay in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So I was working at a restaurant one day, and gentleman walked up, and he ordered a sandwich. Sold him a sandwich, and he was like, if you could sell a sandwich, you could sell a car. I was like, now mind you, Dave, I'm sleeping in my car.
Right.
I'm sleeping in my car. Nobody knows this. I'm sleeping in my car. And he goes, come be a salesperson. I'm looking down on it like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to go sell cars. So 6 months to the day almost, the restaurant shut down.
Mm.
So I'm like scrambling. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So next thing you know, I go down to the dealership, give him a little shirt and tie on, go down to the dealership. He slides a box of cards over. I've been waiting on you. Your desk is over there. There's a phone book. Get to work. And it was history. But it was funny, though, because I never knew that I was like, because in the Marine Corps, like I was trained to do a certain thing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that I was good at talking to people. You know what I mean? For a long time, I thought I hated people.
Right.
Which is crazy that now people are my superpower, right?
Yes.
So impacting and growing and leading and developing is my superpower. I didn't know that because I was in the Marine Corps, and I was, you know what I mean, fighting for our country and thinking that was the way to go. Make a long story short, I get in '08, and now almost 18 years later, you know what I mean, I'm running car dealerships, and now I own my own company as a thing. But I fought a lot of good fights in the car business, moving from Jacksonville, North Carolina. I've been all over the country. I've been as far north as Portland, Maine, far south as Florida, as far west as Anaheim, California. So I've worked all over the country in a lot of different markets, seeing the car business and what it looks like, and big stores, 600, 700 car stores, to little mom and pop stores that we took from 50 to 150, 200 cars. So I've worked through, obviously at the end of '08, you know, came in at the end of Cash for Clunkers and the Great Recession. I came in at the worst time. Nobody wanted to see a young brother come into the industry. He coming in to take our food. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't that much to go around back then.
Right.
So then fast forward, then you go to COVID. Everything's in excess. You know what I mean? You got sales managers making $40,000, $50,000. You've got, you know what I mean, you got salespeople that are becoming managers that have no clue how to lead people. And then now you come into today's environment where it's back to almost those '08 times where it's the constraint is there, the margin compression is there. And so yeah, I went through the entire lineage. It took me a while. Like I went from salesperson, kind of skyrocketed, went salesperson to internet manager, internet director, finance manager, finance director, used car manager, new car manager, GSM, stayed in the GSM role for like 5, 6, 7 years. Finally got my shot at general manager, fell on my face, had no clue what it took to be a general manager, failed miserably, went back, became a GSM, started learning tactically and practically, like what I needed to know, you know what I mean, at the executive level. and then ended up becoming a general manager again and doing it right this time. And for the last 5-7 years, been a general manager. And then appreciate that. Then at the end of this year, at beginning of this year, excuse me, I walked away from it all. And I started my company, SOS Performance Group. So standards over shortcuts is kind of my motto. You know what I mean? It's what I preached in the store, and that's kind of like the shorter version of my story. And just been a student of the game even to today as I'm building out my newest tech company that I'm getting ready to launch here in about 3 months. Still a student of the game, still coaching and developing, but still finding ways to get my sword sharpened. I think Michael Beasley talked about it. I'm one of them dudes that just show up for the purpose of showing up to sharpen my sword, because, you know what I mean, rather just to have a sharp sword for no reason than to have a dull sword and needed in a fight. So that's kind of my mentality right there when it comes to the automotive industry. I love it. It saved my life. It took me from being homeless. It provided me with an extraordinary lifestyle. It provided me with the gift that you can't pay for. And I'm just a young hustler from Philly. Like, I'm just a young hustler, young kid from Philly that just never gave up. Like, didn't give up in the Marine Corps, didn't give up in life, didn't give up when I was homeless, and then just managed to keep on pushing, keep on grinding, keep on getting it to the point of, you know what I mean, figuring out what my life looked like, and now kind of living life on my own terms.
That's amazing, man. And for y'all who know, that's why when you meet people, man, you hear stories, and my story is the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. That's why this is so great, man. You know, my family's awesome, man. I come from a blessed family, dude. I didn't really have a want or a need. I was very spoiled. But my father made sure that I understand that if you want to be spoiled, you had to earn it a little bit. You know, I give you what you want, but I need this GPA. I need that. You better be all Metro in sports. You better come home with trophies. You better do this, and then you can have everything. So it would have been real easy for me to be lazy. I got in the car business, man, because my buddy was in it.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was going to do, man. I had no clue. I was done with school. I said, you know what? I think it's better to go to work than it is to do something else, because I need to learn a craft or something. I need to learn something. So, and I always like people, man. I like people. So got in the car sales, man. And just from that point on, it was very easy for me. It was very simple. It wasn't that hard. And I got promoted to management. You know, we all go through our struggles, man. We all got that. I'm not unique in that. But you get into management because you make somebody do it. They don't want to put you there because, you know, the old adage, who's going to sell your cars if I put you here, and blah, blah. Then you got to quit and show that I'm willing to start over. You know, then you finally get your shot, and it might not be the best shot, but it's the only shot you're going to get. So what you got to do is do the best you can with what you got. But, you know, the expectation of success that's always put on certain people, like, it would be real easy for me to be a lazy bum with no questions asked, man. Very simple for me to do that. So my fight and my integrity comes from athletics. I'm like the most competitive dude you're gonna probably ever find in your life. I can hit the switch like this. You know, I mean, at the drop of my arms, I got the bumps just by talking about being competitive, man. Because that's just how hardwired I am. I'm gonna go play tennis later today, and in St. Louis, it's like 98 degrees. So it's like 116 out there on the court. But I got a tournament coming up, and guess what you got to do? You got to train, you got to practice, and you got to go through the pain. Going through the pain now, I mean, when game time comes, it's just muscle memory, so that's the easy work.
Yes, sir.
Podcast. But I digress, man. The car business has taught me how to be a complete businessman. From learning how to be disciplined, learning how to have a routine. And I'm going to bring that word up because that's one of the questions I got for you later on. But having a routine, hard work, being disciplined, all those things that you can apply to the stock market, all those things you can apply to a YouTube channel, all those things you can apply to your industry. And the best thing about being in the car business is, if you understand that all you really have to do is get 1% better every day, man, dude, by the end of the year, you're 365% better. And I don't think people really know how devastating that is, man. You know, so I'm a GSM of a Chevy store right now. I got my background in finance. You come to St. Louis, you say, you ask anybody in the car business, what's the one thing they're going to say about me? They're going to say, I call it my special ops. I don't say subprime no more. I call it disrespectful. So I call it my special ops customers, my special opportunity customers, man. That's what I do because I decided to go after a segment or a market that people need help and they need guidance. And it's not just buying a car. It's the fact that I've been in London for 17 years, man. It's the fact that I can sit across from somebody and see that they're in an unfortunate situation and we can come up with a success plan. I don't know about you, but I got 26 years in the car business, man. So when I sit down and talk to somebody, I already expect a deal. I'm not worried about that part. That part is on autopilot now. If you've been doing something 26 years and you ain't figured it out by now, that's your own fault. You know, you need training, you need help. And I don't know if you do need training and help. You just heard him say that he can offer training and help. So, but anyway, you know, you give guidance to these people, man, because again, that segment of business is what keeps the car business afloat. Facts. I go to meeting after meeting, man, and the one thing I hear all the time is how people tell me, man, we don't work on them deals. We pass on those. We
I
don't,
hear it all the time.
And to somebody like me, so I'm like, so you rather pass on what I call your ultimate opportunity? What does that mean? You got an ultimate opportunity to, one, sell a car and make someone's life better. Two, come up with a success plan for them. And three, make them the most repeat and referral source that you could possibly get. Yeah. So that means they're going to buy the car from you, they're going to buy your parts from you, and they're going to do their service work with you. That's the best customer you can ask for. And that's the person that's going to be the word of mouth for me. But you don't want that business because you got to work a little bit hard. And people think that it's hard work, Demetrius, but I call it smart work.
Facts.
You were in the military, I'm in the sports, man. So the one thing that I know that we do have in common is when you get to a high level, that word discipline, it means something. It means something. And it's going to segue into this question, man. How important is that word routine to you?
I think that is the great equalizer, discipline and routine. Like if you're asking specifically, obviously, you know what I mean, in the Marine Corps, we firmly believe in discipline. We live it, we breathe it, right? We'll go do something 1,000 times. So that way, when the bombs are bursting and the bullets are flying, like you said, it becomes that natural muscle memory. Like you don't have to think about it. It's just intrinsic. It becomes a part of who you are. Discipline in the automotive industry looks like showing up every single day, doing the things that you have to do that you don't feel like doing. In the automotive industry, it shows up in the way you treat people. It shows up in the way in which you manage yourself in your day, right? A lot of people show up to work. Very few people show up to work, right? So when it comes to discipline, it's doing the things that you need to do or have to do regardless of care, concern, or outside stimulus, right? So to me, that's what discipline feels like and looks like on one of my candidates, one of my people that work with me, one of the dealerships that I coach and develop. You have to have a standard in which you operate. That then becomes the standard in which you do business, which breeds into the discipline of your life, right? Every single day I show up and I'm dressed to the nines. Every single day I show up and I make sure that my staff is ready. My staff knows what's going on. I know how to operate the game plan. I know my numbers, right? Like discipline shows up like that in the automotive industry. But what does discipline show up like in your life? And that's where I had to hone that skill, right? Because I had all this natural discipline from the way I was raised, right? Orphanage, foster care, all these things. So I had to depend on me, right? And had to show up a certain way because it was the expectation in order to reach the levels I wanted to. So what did that end up becoming for me? That ended up every single day, wake up early, every single day, put something in my brain, every single day, make sure that I'm eating healthy, making sure that I'm doing the right things, and then making sure that, you know what I mean, the way in which I operate my life shows up in everything that I do. They can say whatever. You can say Demetrius don't got a degree. You can say that Demetrius is a hustler. You can say that Demetrius has made mistakes. One thing you're never going to say about Demetrius is he didn't work hard and he didn't show up with discipline.
There you go. I love that, man. I was on talking to somebody yesterday, and y'all forgive me, man. I just got out the sauna because I know I got to get it down. So I'm sweating, and I'm just letting everybody, they know how I am. I have to train because, in my opinion, if I'm not doing something, then somebody else is getting better than me. And I just, I can't breathe. I can't take it. I just don't function like that. But man, we were talking about the word motivation, and they kept harping on it. It was actually a trainer, and they were harping on motivation and how important it is to be motivated and motivated and motivated and motivated. And something just wasn't. It was a disturbance and a force for me. I couldn't articulate it right then, and I was like, man, I hear what you're saying, but it's something that ain't jiving with me. And then out of nowhere, bang, discipline is more important than motivation, because when you're not motivated, you still got to do it. You still got to do it. So whether you're motivated or not, you still got to do it. So you got to put discipline in front of motivation. Motivation is great. It helps discipline, but if I'm not motivated to do it, so that means that I don't have to do it. No, it does not. The definition of discipline means doing what you don't want to do like you love it without fail. And the one thing, and this is the one thing that, the last 30 days I've really been harping on, and everybody knows this, do what you say you're going to do.
Flat out.
Flat out. Do what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to do something, then just go do it. And don't wait. Do it now. Yeah. Do it now. How many times do we have thoughts that pop in our head like, you know what, man, I probably should go work out. Yeah, right. Next channel. Even today, my buddy texted me, hey man, 3:30, opportunity to play tennis. Everything in my body's like, man, my wife upstairs, I'm finna chill. It's 98 degrees. It's 116 heat index. I don't want no parts of that. And then all of a sudden, I think back to August the 14th, I'm going to be out there playing a tennis tournament. Do I want to look foolish? I'm 48 years old and I play against 20-year-olds. So, no, I do not. The one thing I will not do, brother, is get embarrassed. That just don't work for me ever. So I'm real big on preparation. The 6 P's. Proper preparation prevents pretty poor performance. Those things mean something. And if you just do what you say you're going to do, man, your life will improve drastically. So now, next step, man, tell us about this Cars and Coffee Clubhouse. Let's go.
Hey, real quick though, I gotta say something about this discipline. I gotta say something about motivation. Just real quick. Discipline shows up when motivation is underneath the covers. Discipline shows up when you want to keep scrolling. Discipline shows up when your body's telling you like you're done enough. Discipline shows up when your girl or your wife is nagging you about doing something. I just tell people this: when it comes to doing the hard things, I tell people this: eat the frog. If you've never read the book Eat the Frog, I would tell everybody in the world to read the book Eat the Frog. It talks about doing the hard things first. Just get it out the way. Get it out the way. In my life, what took me from one level to the next was like just doing the hard things. And speaking of doing hard is Cars and Coffee. I'm in Mountain Standard Time. My show goes on at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Saturday, every single day. I get up every morning at 3:40 in the morning to prep for that show. 3:40, I prep for the show. I typically have a calendar of 10 days worth of topics, but like every day, I wake up and I'll do my little prayer, and God will be like, that's not the topic. And I'll be like, what do you mean? And then he'll be like, do this one. So then I'll reconstruct the whole thing and I'll put all my notes together and get everything lined out. And I got my notebook here, and I got my mic here, and I got all this stuff going, right? And we get up and what do? We talk about the automotive industry. It's 2 hours. It's down and dirty. It's 2 topics, 2 hours. And what we do in those 2 hours is we discuss things in automotive, right? We talked about direct-to-consumer marketing. We talked about brokering. We talked about, what we just talked about, discipline. Where does it show up? We talked about marketing. We talked about variable operations. We talked about fixed operations. We bring conversations to light, recruiting, vendors. We bring conversations to light that automotive industry whispers kind of at the water cooler, but they don't talk about out loud. I make you talk about it out loud. I ask the weird conversations. I ask the weird questions. So that's really what it is. It's a love project where I don't know if you've ever been on Clubhouse, but there was a time where Clubhouse was massively popular during COVID. Well, there was all these rooms about automotive, and I've been in these rooms for 6, 7, 8 years, just talking every morning, getting up at 6:45, talking on these rooms and just weighing in. And then there was a period of time where I just felt like the conversation wasn't a good conversation. We were getting in there and talk. They were getting in there in these other rooms, and they were talking about leadership and accountability. Bro, if you're in management, leadership, the head leader, whatever you are, and we have to sit there and talk about leadership, you're not supposed to be in that job. You're not supposed
Right.
to be in that role. If I got to talk to you about leadership and accountability every single day, that's the bare minimum. That's the base level, right?
Yeah.
We need to talk about things that impact the industry. How are you recruiting? How are you interviewing? What does that look like? What does a really good interview look like? What does a really good recruiting session look like? Hire slow, fire fast. Like talking about like what is marketing? Talking about like variable operations in marketing, talking about variable operations marketing, and then how that ties into used car management and how that ties into the fixed operations. Like talking about all these different topics helps, you know what I mean? And my goal, and I always say this, my little thing I say every day is I don't care whether it's 2 or whether it's 20. I'm gonna show up and give you the sauce. Same thing I did in the dealership. And my leadership mentality with that is I want somebody to be able to go tactically and practically from the conversation we have. As soon as we get done with that conversation, you go into your leadership meeting or your team meeting or your dealership and go, Demetrius talked about this today. Maybe I can implement that. And that's the whole purpose of Cars and Coffee. It's a love project. Some days, I'll be honest with you, that's when discipline kicks in. Because there's some days at 3:45 in the morning,
Yeah.
I didn't took the I didn't took the spouse out for dinner. I didn't
Mhm.
stayed up late with the kids watching a movie. I did something, and next thing you know, 3:45 comes like that, and discipline, motivation, zero, got
Nah,
none.
that's right. Mhm.
I'm going
Yep.
back to see we'll run the show tomorrow. Then it's discipline. All right, Demetrius, you said you was going to show up and give them the sauce. Show up and give them the sauce. So that's what Cars and Coffee is. Cars and Coffee is now spawned into. We're having an event in Houston, Texas, on October 4th and 5th, where it's going to be live moderated panels. We're going to have a panel where it's marketing, variable operations, fixed operations. We're going to have a live debate, and it's going to be the old town hall. I don't know if you've been to a bunch of automotive conferences where some
Oh
dude
yeah.
stands up on stage and
Mhm.
he's talking, and you're like, well, this ain't that. What this is going to be like the old school town hall. You're going to sit in a round circle. You're going to have the panel floor level. I'm going to moderate the conversation. Then I'm going to ask people in the audience to participate, stand up and join the conversation. So it becomes an interactive podcast style type deal where just like on Cars and Coffee on Clubhouse, you can speak and we have the conversations and it's a back and forth dialogue. I don't want it to be one of these conferences where speakers get up there and pontificate and tell how great they are. Give me something I can take back to my dealership. Then
Mhm.
let me ask questions about it. Let me ask why that makes sense. Let me ask what were your pitfalls, what were your struggles getting that to happen. And that's really where we're trying to focus with Cars and Coffee. And then now it's just spawned into this recruiting deal because we have on average every single day we have about 15. Right now we're averaging right around 1,100 to 1,400 listeners every morning.
Go. Mhm.
So what that's turned into is my LinkedIn blowing up to crazy numbers, my TikTok's blown up to crazy numbers, my Facebook is going through the roof, maxed out my followers, or maxed out my friend request. Now I got to go to followers and this weird combination. But now it's turned into this next love project where for free, and I just got interviewed by a car dealership guy, CDG. They're asking me, why are you helping people land jobs for free? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, what? Like, you're doing this free service where I've landed now. This will be my 5th GM that I've placed in the industry. I've placed
Awesome, man.
4 GSMs and about 7 salespeople at this point.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but now we've got a automotive CEO. He's owned and operated 12 different stores. I've got an HR professional in the Detroit metro area that's looking for roles. I've got salespeople, finance directors that are all reaching out to me. And now my LinkedIn's going crazy. After my post the other day, I woke up to 285 friend requests
Woo!
or connection requests on LinkedIn because we're doing this. I'm doing this service for free. And literally all I'm doing is just using my power of my connections and putting the
Mhm.
humanity back into hiring. Like that's my
Like,
whole
yeah,
like
man. Yeah,
like
man.
my
That's
like
big.
too many times we get stuck on this piece of paper that says
Mhm.
you're qualified or you're not, but we don't listen to the story behind. Like if somebody would look at me, they'd be like, oh, Demetrius, you were a job hopper. But if you heard or if they looked at my resume, they'd be like, Demetrius, you were a job hopper. But if they listened to my story, they would know that, like, because of either socioeconomics or because of demographics or because of racial profiling, I had to move around the country because I kept getting that, ceiling. So then I started finding my stride, and then I started using my popularity. And then I told somebody the other day, I haven't used my resume in 10 years. I've been recruited or my social connections. So then I said, let me do the same thing. I'm blessed to have my own company now. Let me do the same thing for people for free. You shouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars to get your resume updated and get your name out there on the same recycled job boards. Let me talk to real people about real people. And that's what we're doing. So that's what Cars and Coffee has turned into. It's a love project. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I really
man, that's awesome, man. And, the thing that I say all the time, brothers, when the phone rings, dude, I'm not getting ready to not help somebody. If you call and ask me a finance question, if you call and ask me for something, man, I'm not going. The first thought that pops in my mind is not what can I get out of you, is how can we get this solved? How can we get this? Because keep in mind, every issue that you solve with somebody, you just got better too. So that's what you just got out of it. So
come on.
Why? Everything is not always monetary. Now, don't get me wrong, because monetary success is very good. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying, man, the car business have given us so much, man. I've been doing it 26 years, so it's okay to give back to the car business sometimes. Yeah. It's okay to extend gratitude, grace, and bless people sometimes and not get something monetarily back in return. I'm finding out, like, the higher you go, the more success you have. Because my little journey, man, I got my little channel and this, that, and that. And, I'm starting to feel that ceiling that you're talking about, because it seems that jealousy is a real word. And I really didn't know how bad it was until when you build yourself up enough to where the industry really can't impact you and keep you from doing something because your body of work speaks way more volumes than anything else. You start understanding that people they feel a certain way about it, and they might want to suppress you a little bit or not listen to you and do things like that. And before, man, I was the high-head dude, man. I was a finance guy who, hey, don't try me. It's not gonna work out. I'm not going for it, because I was tired of people messing with me, man. I was ready to fight at the drop of a hat. Just don't disrespect me. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna lace these boots up. I'm gonna light this thing on fire. We're gonna high five. But if you try me, I'm gonna get you. And it don't matter. I don't care. And I had my finance director. I love my brother, man. One of my mentors named Sean Pleasant. He used to say, "More, you got to calm down. Yeah. You got to." I'm looking at him like, dude, now you or 10 people who look like you, or am I gonna get that off? Do you understand me? Yeah. He's like, "More, dude, you have the talent, but you got to stop being so mad." I was like, I can't help it, Pete, because people been messing with me my whole car business journey. There's never been really preparation. Okay, here, you're a finance guy. You're gonna get your first deal in about 35 minutes. What am I supposed? But you sent Buddy to school. All right.
Yeah.
Figure it out. All right, you're the GSM. Cool. What am I supposed to do?
What does that mean?
Right? Oh, figure that out. Okay. So I really didn't know what it was like to be prepared, because I was never prepared. Everything was just thrown at me, and I was able to catch it and then make it work. Whatever you throw at me, I'm able to catch it and make it work by just being myself and figuring it out. I come home and watch YouTube. I come home and watch some videos on what's my man Joe Verdi, or my man Grant Cardone, or my man Glenn Lundy, or it sprinkle a little what's the by Andy Elliott.
Andy Elliott. Yep.
Goes. I'm searching for knowledge because I want to find out what's the answer to the issue. How can I be better? I know one thing with sports, you understand that you got to, at a high level, you understand you got to practice hard. So when it's time to go, it should be on autopilot. So I took that into the car business. So I come home at night, man. My wife tell you, here, I'm up here early in the morning. I got $3. So that'll tell you right now, my sleep schedule is when the first one I got to go to the bathroom. That's the play. So it's between 4 in the morning and 5 in the morning, however, whatever. But I don't really want to miss no sunrise. It's power in that. That's a whole nother podcast too. But however, it's power in that sunrise, man. Don't miss one. You know, watching that. Even our ancestors did it. So if you don't recognize that, go do your homework on your history. But anyway, the car business I was not given the chance to be prepared. And then I started to prepare. So I started to go to work, man. And I was kind of like, man, this part is easy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, because I was ready for it. And now this journey I got now, I'm facing things that I haven't faced before. So now it's time for me to shift again and take what I do and take what I know and help the people be the best version of themselves. And I tell the salespeople all the time, man, here's the deal. I care more about you than me, because if you win, I win on default anyway.
Yeah.
So I want you to win, because when you win, I automatically win. So I can pour myself into you. I can care about what you got going on. I heard somebody named Mr. Simmons. I think he just bought a Chevy store too. Scott, maybe his name is.
Scott Simons.
Yeah, Scott. He said something, man, and he said, I have failed an employee because he was trying to push his agenda on him. His agenda is everybody wants to be rich, everybody wants to have money and all of that. And that's not everybody's why.
Nope.
I found out that I was doing the same thing, man. After listening to that, I went back to my team, man. I'm like, hey, man, I owe y'all apology. And I had to sit down with him and say, hey, like, what's important to you? You know, what is it that you want? And then when they tell you, you like, what?
Yep.
Okay. Well, if that's what's important to you, let's come up with a plan to go after that. It's amazing the different things that's important to different people, and it lets you know that it's different walks of life, man. And you know you can't manage everybody the same. And man, I'm growing and I'm a work in progress. But the one thing that I do every day without fail is I make sure that I bless somebody in this automotive industry, because it is giving me so much. It is giving me the opportunity to sit at tables that I probably wasn't going to sit at. It's giving me the opportunity to hone my skills and become a businessman, as far whether it's, you know, buying property or stocks, or I'm even writing my little self a book. Yeah, I am. You got that right. And I know y'all going to want to hear that, because the one thing about me is I'm going to tell you how to call you the cabbage. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie to you, because you can't do nothing to me. So it is what it is. But I've just been that way, man. I enjoy being that way, because me being organic of who I am, it has worked. And it's something that I'm passionate about, because I don't like to be fake. I'll never have something that's scripted. I don't really prepare for nothing, because I haven't had that, and that would make me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. So just drop me on in the grease, man, and go on away from me, and I'll figure it out. When you come back, here's the answer, here's the money, here it is, you're good. You know, everybody can't do that, and I get that. And I'm not saying that's the perfect way. I'm saying it was a very hard way. But through that hard way, you learn how to become excellent. And you also learn that the definition of a leader can also be a servant leader. Now, that said, that, elaborate on your definition of the term servant leader, because I guarantee you it's a lot of people who have no clue what that means.
Yeah. So servant leader to me is this. This is my foundational core philosophy on leadership. We serve at their pleasure, find a way to say yes, and find a way to serve. That is the core principle for my leadership. We serve at their pleasure. Leadership is an up and downstream mentality. We serve at the pleasure of those that hire us, the executives that hire us, or the dealer principals in my case, and the board that hires us. But we also serve at the pleasure of the salespeople, because without them, there is no us, right? Without selling them the first car, without getting a customer to say yes, which they're in the trenches. So we need to have that servant mentality of, how can I help you, one, move the deal forward by saying yes, and then how can I serve you in that capacity? Right? If we're just talking about the automotive industry, but if we expand out our lens and we say, how does that show up in life? we serve at their pleasure. If everybody that you come in contact with, you just say, you know what, I serve at your pleasure. Give respect. You don't have to earn my respect. I'm just going to give you naturally respect, right? I'm going to naturally show up for you until you give me a reason not to, right? Or until you fail yourself in that regard, right? And then we find a way to say yes. How can I serve you? There, a lot of people talk about yes seasons and all these different things, but how can I find a way to just help you with saying yes to whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Because naturally, intrinsically, everybody that we come in contact with is predispositioned to say what? Say no.
Yes.
Everybody is predispositioned to say no. So if I come along and Demetrius, I say, yes, I'm here to help you. Automatically, people are off kilter. They're off guard. They're like, what? And then I find a way to, you know what I mean? Find a way to, we serve at their pleasure, find a way to say yes and find a way to serve. And then in that, I'm serving them, helping them achieve their common goal. You talked about having this commonality with people, thinking that everybody wanted the things that you wanted in life. The one and most important question when I'm recruiting or hiring or even if I'm onboarding a dealer, why? Just ask the question, why? Not because, and I always tell people, like, what's your why? Like, why are you here? Right? My leadership philosophy and my principles are like trying to figure out what motivates somebody, what drives somebody, and what is their why for doing what they're doing. Eric Thomas says it best. He goes, I can, I will, I must. Right?
Yeah.
And all of my team, when they see this video, they're probably going to type it into your chat. They're going to go, I can, I will, I must. We lived and died by that, right? But after the I can do it, I will do it, I must do it. But what I used to always write this on a piece of paper. What's your why? After all of that, what's your why? Because your why drives and pushes you, right? So that's my leadership philosophy in a nutshell, right? Is we serve at their pleasure, find a way to say yes, find a way to serve. And if we really walk out those things, it shows up in all areas of our lives, right? And like you, I've had a lot of struggles in the business, right? Showing up authentically as myself and then showing up as somebody that they wanted me to show up. And it's because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was trying to accomplish. I didn't know who Demetrius at his core was, right? Once I unlocked that, Dave, when I tell you, like, once I unlocked that, like, my life changed. And I just started authentically showing up as me, not the dude that my finance director was that groomed me and taught me. Because this is kind of where it's funny, because like our lives reverse again.
Yeah.
You had no preparation. I had all the preparation in the world. Like I there's this little saying that you'll hear people say, like, I got that thing that people can't teach. So a lot of people try and gravitate towards that and try and hone it, but you got to be careful because people will try and abuse and use that, right? But
Yeah.
I had this ability where people said to me, like, Demetrius, oh, you're talented. We can attach our horse to you, or we can attach our wagon to you because we know you're gonna run. You got to be careful with that. But the beautiful thing for me was everybody wanted to coach and develop me because they saw what it could be, right? So I had the finance manager that sat me down for weeks. Learn this paper, learn this, learn the banks, build your book, build your Bible. You know what I mean? I learned all these different things. Whereas it sounds like you got thrown into the fire, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how, like, you know what I mean, your upbringing prepared you to be able to be capable and have the capacity to learn. I always talk about two things: capability and capacity. Whereas, like, my upbringing taught me how to survive, and then that survival instinct taught me how to figure it out. But I also had really great mentors, really great coaches that taught me and developed me and coached me. And then I took that and ran with it, sometimes in the wrong direction, and had to come back and figure it out. You know what I mean? I've chased the title, I've chased the money, I've chased the women, I've done all the things in the automotive industry that you're not supposed to do. But at some point in my life, you know what I mean, figuring out like my core principle value of leadership, that is what changed the entire trajectory of my life when it came to the automotive industry and my life in general. So,
Man,
yeah.
that's awesome, man. It's I heard a little bit ago something, and it's actually on my wall right over there. And it says, uh, in order to be a leader, you must be willing to turn your back on the crowd and not care what they think.
Yep.
And at first when you hear it, you're like, all right. But then you go through stuff and you start to understand how important bravery is. And you people, I mean, if you don't understand, maybe you have been put in that situation where, there's been a few times in my life, man, or in the car business where I've had to be brave. And a lot of times it's when you feel undervalued or you feel that things are not going your way, and you have to be brave and become a person that you have to push your comfort zone to have that conversation with your dealer principal or with your owner and say, hey man, here's the play. This is what's going on. And you have to be brave and do that in order to get the things that you want, because let's just call a spade a spade. This is a business. And in a business, you all understand this when I say this to you. A business means that you're supposed to get the maximum production for the least amount of money. That is how a business is operated. That's capital. That's how it goes. And what we're supposed to do is, my opinion, and I'm not, I ain't perfect at all, but my opinion is to make yourself as valuable as you can be so you can stand the test of time. Not many people can say that they've been at the same store for over 15, 16, 17 years. Not many people have staying power like that, because you have to adapt in advance. Every year you have to get better. You have to evolve. And I'm lucky that I work for a dealership, man, that, I got Mr. Londoff, of course, our captain, and his two young sons who are the dealer operators now, man. And, I'm learning things. They call me the tweener. I'm 48. I've been doing it 26 years. So I can speak to the older generation, the one that say these young generation lazy, don't do nothing, blah, 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 blah. And I look at them and say, man, it's still Navy SEALs, dog. So I hear you, but my ears hear what you say, but my eyes can see. So all of them ain't like that.
Yeah.
All the way down to the younger generation that introduced me to a mental health day. And, because I didn't know what that was. And they're like, yeah. And I'm looking at him like, a mental health day. What exactly is that? And this is where the younger generation helps us, right? They value family time over money.
Yep.
Because their parents put money over family time.
Yep.
And when they did that, they didn't want to do that to the generation coming up. So they care about family time. They care about going home. They care about, the old success stories. Man, it was always about who could work the longest hours, who stayed at the dealership from sun up to sundown. You were the one that everybody loves. And then the younger generation come in and say, well, how about we do the same production with less hours?
Facts.
And you're like, what? That can't happen. Well, yeah, it can. If you find where you wasting time and cut the wasted time down, then that means the time you're working, it's just simple math. Math solves everything. 1 and 1 is 2. Whether aliens come down or not, it's going to be the same. So the younger generation tells me this. The older generation tells me this. I'm the guy who can go communicate with both. That's why I'm called tweener. I understand how important it is to understand that the last week of the month, if you ain't where you want to be, that you need to work every day. I get that. But I also understand how it is to have a wife and some kids at home, and then all of a sudden you need to be a father for your children too, because you don't want somebody else raising your children. Facts. So you got to find that happy medium right there, and that's where it gets tricky, man. That's where it gets tricky. But to me, where I struggle is, personally, I just take on everything. I say, yeah. I need help with this, yeah. Can I do this? Yeah. No. You got time to do this? Yeah. And then I find myself like, man, I need more hours in the day than it is. It's not going to work out. But let's say somebody like me says, you know what? And yeah, we do train on that channel. Yeah, you can click on some stuff and you'll hear some stuff, especially when it comes to finance. Man, I love finance, man. That's my cup of tea. Let's say somebody wants to go down the road of becoming a trainer, because a lot of the conversations I have now are with people that saying, man, I've been a salesperson, a finance guy, a desk man, a GSM. Now I'm a GM. Now I want to go train people and help them become the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
What does that look like what advice would you give to someone who wanted to go down that path? Because I know a couple people that's done it, and I know it's not easy. I know it's a whole bunch of work. And at the end, it may seem like all hunky dory, and you see the trips and the this and the that and the money and the convos. But I don't really think they understand what goes on behind closed doors. You know, all the demons that you got to fight or the things like that, man. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So for me, this has been one of the hardest challenges that I've ever done. And I was in special forces in the Marine Corps. I done been homeless. I done been in the orphanage. I was adopted, foster care. The training and development for a store that is not your store, a store that is something that you don't get a chance to put your hands on every single day is tough. One of the things I would tell you to do is get really clear about your expectations and your process and procedure, right? The standard over shortcuts is not just a mentality, that's a lifestyle. This is the way in which I'm going to do business. When I go into a store and I introduce, we need to make sure there's alignment. And then two, we need to set the standard in which we're going to operate. Then every single chance you get, you got to hold those people accountable to that standard. Hey, this is what you said you wanted. You hired me because you said you wanted this and you wanted that result. I'm here long after the feeling left you when you signed on that dotted line. I'm going to be here to push you and make sure that I hold you to that standard. And some days it's not going to be pretty. But yeah, a lot of people do get lulled into the false sense of reality of thinking like, oh, because I'm on an airplane twice a week and because I'm eating dinners with the GMs and the CEOs and the owners and because I'm here and I'm there and I'm on this podcast or that podcast and I'm developing my brand. But what they don't think about is the amount of hours that go into preparation for one dealership, right? They don't think about the amount of time that you spend coaching and developing, that your phone is ringing, that you're looking for your next deal, that you're talking to what I would consider the groundhog day every single week. For me, I go onto a site once or twice a month, and then I coach and develop every week. We have a 1 hour Zoom call, 30-minute Zoom call every single week with all of my dealers. Because there's no substitution for execution. But there's no substitution for me having that direct connection with you every single week. Because if not, like, it's not like set it and forget it. Like, oh, because I went into a store, and this is where a lot of people get messed up. Because I went into a store and I wrote out this beautiful plan and I gave you all these sheets that all you have to do is check off and do these certain KPIs and these certain standards every single day. They think that like, oh, you set it and forget it, and a dealer's going to pay you $10,000 a month, and you're going to have 10 of those stores. You're making $100,000. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. It's really super early flights. You got to get up super early. I don't know if you've ever flown in a suit. That's the most uncomfortable thing you have to do.
It's the worst thing in the world, man.
It's a 3-hour flight in a suit because as soon as you get off that bird, you can't even check your bag because you got a 30-minute window. You got to make it to that dealership. You got to be in that dealership and ready, standing ready to go, because the expectation is that this military cat's going to show up and he's going to lead us to the promised land. And then from there, it's making sure that you show up and do that. Then you're on another flight while you're on a Zoom call trying to figure out the next strategy session. It's not as glorious and as cracked up as it can be. Is it fun? If that's what you love to do. But I would tell people to alleviate yourself, just like I tell salespeople. And this is one of the things we got to get rid of in the industry. We've got to stop over glorifying leadership.
Oh, amen.
We got to stop over glorifying leadership. We're taking salespeople that are naturally good at just being who they are, and that gravitates people towards them, and then we over glorify. Or we say, you know what, Dave, man, you're a 25 car guy. You're going to be an amazing sales manager. Dave don't know the first thing about leading people. I can get anybody to desk a deal. Let's be so for real.
Yeah.
That's key to deals, not the tough part.
No.
I can get anybody put numbers on a sheet of paper. But getting somebody to be able to cultivate, lead, motivate, inspire, develop people to the next level, that requires a totally different skill set. And that's why I would tell people, alleviate yourself of the responsibility of thinking that you have to go be a trainer because you did X amount of time. Find something that you love doing. I try and talk people out of it all the time. I do. Just like when I'm hiring as a GM and I'm hiring or GSM and I'm hiring the next salesperson, next sales manager, the next finance manager, doesn't matter what role I'm hiring for, I try and talk them out of it. Because you don't realize the amount of work that's going to go into it. And you brought up something earlier, and I'm like every time you speak, I'm like, dang, I love this dude. We should have been connected. But like, you brought up something earlier, like, I don't think that Gen Z or the new generation, I forget what it's called, Gen Alpha, I don't think that they're not motivated by money. I don't think that they're willing to make the sacrifice that me, you, and our parents made.
Ding.
I don't think that they're not. I think they love money. You see it all the time on YouTube. Everybody that's why the allure of fast money, because what they're really saying is not that they want to be millionaires and that they want fast money. They don't want to have to go through the sacrifice that we had to go through. I think about it like this. I was just telling my spouse the other day, I said, do you know that there was a 6-month period I didn't take a single day off? A single day, 6 months straight, like a dog. I was the finance manager. I had my little girl who's now 14, but she was 2-3 years old. And I literally went 6 months without a day off. I was the youngest finance manager on a team of 4. My finance director and us 3. They were all older guys. They were in their 40s, 50s, right? They were latter years. I'm 28, 29, getting ready to turn 30. So I had my young daughter. So I said, hey, let me come in at 11:30, 12 o'clock and let me close the store down. So I would get up, take her to breakfast. We call it our breakfast date. And then when I go in the store, 11:30, 12 o'clock, rock it till close, 9 o'clock. Then come in on Sunday. She would sit at my desk. I got pictures of her sitting at my desk drawing on my DocuPad. And I'm cleaning up deals, right? But you tell a young person, a Gen Z, a Gen Alpha, that's what it took to make $450,000. That's what it took to change my life. That's what it took for me to buy the big house and all the cars. They're not doing that. They rather live a $80,000 lifestyle and have more work-life balance. And I think we've got to get away from saying that work-life balance is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing is they're teaching us what it looks like. And you said something that was super profound. They want a shortcut. And I don't think shortcuts are bad. They want to figure out how they can maximize their effort in a shorter amount of time. So that way, because I always say this, and we used to say this in the military, time on station does not equal efficiency. The best operators, the best shooters, the best door kickers, the Navy SEAL stuff that y'all see on TV, you know what I mean? Me being force in recon and a sniper and all the things, right? The best of the best are in and out. We train for that level of being able to be in and out. Same thing with this Gen Z and this Gen Alpha. They want to be in, out, and go on and live the best fulfilling lifestyle that they can live. They don't want to be on station for 12, 13, 14 hours a day to make 200 grand. They'd rather make 80, spend time with their family, be happy. And that's where it goes all the way back to where you said you got to get face to face, belly to belly, eye to eye, and really understand what motivates, drives, and inspires people. So that way you can speak to them. Because my dogs, they're always going to be dogs. They're going to be killers. They're going to show up. They're going to work their days off. They're going to do perfect for them. But then I've also got the single mom who really wants to work a 9-to-5 job, can sell 20, 30 cars. But because I'm holding her to this last week of the month standard, she hates the job. She goes and finds a job that pays her $65,000 when realistically, if you let her work her schedule and do it her way, she was your $200,000, 25 a month, 30 car a month saleswoman, right? I just posted on my TikTok how I helped this young lady buy a car. Like when I first met her, I take over a store. The first thing I do is I don't look at numbers, metrics. I do all of that stuff pre-deciding I'm going to take the job. You're going to send me over the financial statement. You're going to send me over all of the metrics. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to sit down with every single salesperson, every single person in that building, one-on-one, 15 minutes. Come on, tell me about your life. Tell me what you got going on. Tell me, why are you here? What can I do to help you get to that next level? And that, to me, is why we're failing in the automotive industry about retaining and keeping really good talent. I apologize. I get worked up about this.
Yeah, no, man, please.
But the big thing that I see, though, is everybody wants to be a trainer, full circle. Everybody wants to be a trainer. Everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to think. Relieve yourself of the responsibility of thinking that this is more glorious than what it is. This is long days, late nights, early flights, a lot of paperwork, a lot of responsibility. You have a fiduciary responsibility to that dealer, just like you do as if you're in the store, just as if you're a salesperson to the manager to the GSM to the general manager to the executive or to the board or to the owner, right? Relieve yourself of the responsibility that thinking that this is for everybody. Because what I'm trying to tell everybody, and if you can hear the sound of my voice, is this ain't for everybody.
Mm-mm.
People,
Mm-mm.
the people business, and that's what we're in. If you want to be a coach, you want to do what I do for a living, you're in the people business. I know the metrics. I know all the, you know what I mean, how to read the financial statement, a balance sheet, all the things. I know what drives, you know what I mean. I know how to, you know what I mean, read the documents. I know how to read all the statements. I know how to read hey, finance, what's your time to funding? I know time to line for used car recon, how many RO counts, what's our effective labor? I know all those metrics.
Mm-hmm.
What we're really in is the people business. And if you're not good with people, you can't, like I always tell my teams this, lead from the seat you're in before you think that you want to be in the next seat.
Woo!
Lead
Oh!
from the lead from the seat that you're in before appreciate that. Lead from the seat that you're in before you decide that you want to be in the next man's seat. Because I say Dave, you're the GSM doesn't make you a leader.
Mm-mm.
I can almost guarantee I can close my eyes and go like this. Dave was a leader before he was ever given the title. Dave was doing the things that he had to do before he was ever given the title. Dave did the things intrinsically that made him the clear and obvious choice to make him the leader. Dave is now the leader. No, Dave has always been a leader. He just now got the shot. That's what I'm trying to tell people when it comes to this coaching and developing thing. Coach and develop from the seat that you're in. Be really, really good and strategic. Have really good process. Write everything down. Document everything, and then build a plan. Have an idea, a mission statement, a core value on the way in which you're going to do business. Then go out and decide that you're going to go become a coach and a trainer. Training is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Now, as I told the staff yesterday to me, man, many are called, but few are
You are
chosen.
chosen.
You know, and when you get into this industry, and yes, brother, I got them stories too, man. My wife, I love her so much, man. She used to come up on Sundays and sit with me and clean up. I used to clean the deals up. She used to come up on Sunday because she like, if this is the only time that I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
get
be
to
here.
spend with you, then I'm gonna be here. So I had a wife sitting there in the chair across from my desk while I'm sitting there getting the deals ready because I know Monday I'm gonna have a fresh 12 to 13 to do. So these 15 that I got right here, I don't want to come in Monday and clean them up because that's gonna mess up my bag. So I'll come in on Sunday, spend a little time getting prepared. So when Monday comes and everybody else go to work and they're like, I gotta clean my deals up. I'm like, office is open. Let's go. Me. And I'm cooking with gas. And that's just the way. But like I said, meeting these young Londoff boys, man, they've taught me that it's okay to spend time with your wife. You know, I was blessed enough just a week ago to be in the Bahamas with my wife, man. I got to take her to Atlantis, man. We stayed in the cold and all the good stuff. And you know, the most important thing to me is her smiling. You know, that's because I robbed her of so much time before. You know, I feel guilty now. I feel guilty now. And not one person is going to make me not spend time with the one person in the world who, when people try to take advantage of you, man, or especially me, when people try to take advantage of me, my wife pulls me back. She knows I'm the racehorse. And she can tell by reading my signs that I give her if I'm too stressed, if it's time for me to take a step back, if it's time for me to pull the reins back a little bit and say, hey, you need it. My wife will look at me and say, man, you need to sleep. There's something wrong with you. I'm like, but my mind won't shut off because outside, when the car business is done, y'all know the podcast. Now it's time to jump onto the stocks. Now it's time to jump onto the crypto. Now it's time to jump onto the gold. Now it's time to jump onto baseball cards, to football stuff, to selling stuff here and selling stuff there. So the body of work and your work don't never stop. But you gotta have somebody in your corner that can say, hey man, put their hand on your chest and say, dude, you got to chill.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna fail to operate like this. What's gonna happen is you're gonna start making mistakes. And
Facts.
when you start making mistakes, that's when shit gets out of control. So having somebody in your corner like that is real big, man. And ever since she really started to do that, man, and she's a psych major, you know, and she's also the one that
See in here.
she made me understand, man, that the car business is not always just cut and dry. It's psychology to it.
Yes.
I'm hearing all the trainers and all the verbiage, dude, and I'm the guy who's sitting in the back of the training class like this with his pad and paper. And I don't say nothing to nobody. And I just sit there and I write my little notes down and I write my little notes down and I think about what's said and I think about what's said and I put my version on it. And then when it's all done, anybody got questions? Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Right. And then I can go after it because I actually take training serious. I definitely didn't. The most important thing to me, brother, is my time. I say all the time, man. On the last show I did, dude, I say, hey, you're going to take my money because I can run the bag back up. But you mess with my time, you want to really, truly piss me off? Mess with my time, man. That is unforgivable because I can never get it back.
Yeah.
I can't get that 1 second back.
Yep.
You know, my dad taught me when I was a kid, man, every time you get angry, you lose 10 minutes off your life, son. So how many 10 minutes are you going to give people? I'm like, whoa. So when I get mad, I lose 10 minutes off mine? Yeah. I wish I would care about somebody that don't mean nothing to me. It don't work anymore. People try to get under my skin now, brother. They tell you that I have two superpowers. One of them is the ability to read people. I'm blessed with that. It's a talent. I love it. I enjoy that. The other one, I am the master of ignoring bullshit.
You're the most nonchalant man ever.
Man, I'm like the best in the world. I have this automatic thing that when it comes on, it's like that Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. I don't even hear it.
Yeah.
Because I'm trained to not hear it. I don't want that in my presence. I don't want that on my soul. I don't enjoy that. You know, we're supposed to be out here, man, making people the best version of themselves. And what we do, especially when I get a chance, man, I like to go down to where don't nobody go. Yep. I like to go down to where, you know, I can sit down and I can put my chain on and my earrings on and I can get these young dudes who may not have a clear grasp on what they can do. You got this business sense over here, right? So you're doing good here. Why don't I show you how you can do good here? Take the same things you're doing here and apply it to here. Man, You have no idea how many salespeople I have, man, that went from point A to point B, used the same skills in point A, if you know what I mean. And now in point B, man, got the house, the cars, the babies, the kids, talking about how they putting their kids in private schools and this and that. Man,
becomes a different type of hustle.
Oh, dude, I get so much joy by being able to go to people and reaching out to the people that can't nobody talk to. You know, most of the people bring up religion all the time. And I say, man, Jesus ain't go out to the meager. He didn't go out to the rich. He didn't go out to the middle class. He went to where didn't nobody go.
Thanks.
So if you're talking about who really doing God's work, who doing it? So
come on.
If that's what it is, so you know, it's not always cut and dry. And I want everybody to see you got two brothers, man, who got two totally different stories. Yeah. But guess what we got in common? The D word, the discipline word.
Yes, sir.
And that word can transcend you from where you are to where you want to go. Yes. And you can surpass. And I'm telling you right now, it's so easy to be successful now because everybody is looking for that shortcut. And don't get me wrong, I like shortcuts. If you tell me that I can get from here to here in a faster way than going, I want that. I do, especially if I'm not going to lose anything. I want that. But I don't want that shortcut if I'm going to lose skill, if I'm going to lose discipline. That's not okay. I don't want that. In order for us to be millionaires when we were kids, it wasn't on YouTube. You know, it wasn't I can make a viral video. I can go get all these followers. You really had to sell something or do something to become a millionaire.
Yes, sir.
Now, you can make a video, man, and it go viral and you get paid off that on accident.
Yep.
On accident. because you did something that at that moment in time, all the stars aligned in the world and everybody wanted to see it at that moment in time. But the things that we do, man, the things that we do, the things we say, the people that we reach out to, the dealers that need our help. And I'll circle back to the beginning. Dealers, if y'all ain't working on special ops, man, reach out. You missing the bank. Your expectations of what you think is going on ain't going on, because we don't leave money on the table. And those are the people that drive the market. If you not understand that, that's how you get your perfect customer. So, you know, I tell you what, don't do it. Just send them to me. Don't do it. Just send them to me, and I handle it. No problem. But
I love that.
You know, I would love to. I mean, I would love to get some of these people in the room and just ask the question: why do you not want to help special ops customers? Well, because they come into your dealership with all these kids. They come into the dealership and they take over, and it's all hollering and they're yelling and screaming. Well, that's because you don't have somebody doing it who has a clear and concise process. You don't have somebody doing it who can take control of your customer. You don't have somebody doing it who actually knows what they're doing. I train all the time, and I say, man, the best place to go if you want somebody to take control of you is the doctor's office. You know why? Because as soon as you walk in, that lady behind the window, I don't care if you got $3 billion or $3, sign in. You know what you're going to do? Sign in. She's going to say, take this paperwork, go sit back there and fill it out. And when you get done, bring it back up here. And again, it matters not how much money you have or your social status. You're going to stay right back in that seat. You're going to fill that paperwork out, and you're going to do it whether you want to or not.
100%.
So everybody, my dad used to tell me all the time, two things. Everybody can recognize a king and every knee will bow. Two, man, do not skip out on your integrity. Do not skip out on your integrity. That shit's not for sale. It has no price. Sometimes you're going to have to miss the bag because that bag ain't right. You done heard people say all money ain't good money, and it's not. Do not skip out on your integrity, man. If you got to skip out on your integrity, it's not worth doing. And if you're around people that ask you to do that, I'm big on circles, brother. Here, like I say, I'm not judging anybody, but I got a certain table that I allow people to sit, and I got tables over there and over there that other people can sit. I'm not saying you don't deserve a seat at a table. I'm just saying not this one.
Facts.
You know, not this one here. Maybe that one over there, and that's fine. And I'll get over there, but not at this one. So you got to know who your circle is. And the stronger your circle is, the more accountable they hold you. I got an accountability call that I do with my best friend in the world, Shabaka. And when I tell you accountability, he does not mess around. His name is Shabaka for a reason.
Love that.
So, you know, and that's just one of those things, man, that, brother, I've been watching what you've been doing, man, and I hear people saying things about how good and how well you do. It's absolutely helping people, and we helping dealers. And we got to help the dealers, especially right now, because I don't know if it's like this in your area, but there's more dealers going out of business than you know right now because they can't figure out the market. You know, you don't understand. You got people who used to doing business a certain way. We talked about COVID earlier. You know, the COVID superstar era, that's what I call them. You know, because you got people who were selling 5 cars a month who all of a sudden start selling 15 and making good money, and they expected it to be like that forever. And then guess what happened? Now you got to start selling again. You got to start building value. You got to start following your steps. You got to do all the things that you were supposed to do, and you can't skip steps with these people. And now they can't do it because they're used to just sending somebody on a test drive. Come back, ain't no negotiation, sign right here. There you go. Now, what do you do when somebody come in and say, cool, yeah, I want this car, but I need you to discount this car $6,000. Go.
Exactly.
When you got to say, and you don't know what to do and where to go, imagine going to the doctor and you ask the doctor a question. He say, you going to say, you ain't going to operate on me? No, you will not.
Exactly.
It's the same way in our industry, man. So, you know, rinse, wash, and repeat. Last question I got, bro. if somebody was going to say, Demetrius, give me 3 words that describe you, what 3 words would those be?
Discipline, impactful. Discipline, impactful, and value. Discipline, impact, and value.
I love it.
Yeah, I think for me, discipline speaks to everything that I do. Impact. I want to make sure that anytime I come across, I just posted a video yesterday about a young man that was a porter, and I always tell people, I don't care if he's the porter, and you hear this all the time. Treat the janitors the same respect you treat the CEO. But like, it's cool to have all these cliche sayings, but are you walking it out in your everyday life? And I treated this young man, and I loved on this young man every time. I tried to get him to be a salesperson. And sometimes you got to go to grow, right? And he really loved the service department, but I just didn't have a spot for him in the service department. So he said, boss man, I got an opportunity down the road. I got to go take it. All I'm going to tell you is that you better be the best damn whatever you're going to go be, wherever it is. Because if you're going to come from my coaching tree, that's the expectation. Right. I'm like an ant. I feel like for me, my mentor told me, he said, Demetrius, it's not as much money as you make. It's not as many houses as you have. How many stocks, bonds, beautiful wife. It's all of that, but it's not. He said, when you have the leadership responsibility or the title, your job is to create more and better leaders. The coaching tree, and I liken this to like Andy Reid. You got Andy Reid, you got Bill Belichick. Their coaching trees almost make up the entire NFL. Those two gentlemen, the entire NFL, right? I'm an Eagles fan. Go Birds. I see you got that extra mess up there. But
you know it. Go, Aaron Donald. Let's go.
So with that being said, like, I look at my coaching tree as, what did I leave? So I want to make sure that I have the impact with anybody that I come in contact with, right? You know what I mean? And then value. I want to make sure that when I show up on station, when I show up to your dealership, when I show up or we interact, right? I got so much value out of this. Hopefully I'm giving some value back to you and your audience, right? Like, I want to make sure that I'm providing as much value in anything that I do. So discipline, impact, and value. That would be the 3 things that sum me up. And I want to, you know what I mean? Before we get off, I want to show honor and respect and love to the fact that you gave me a second chance, because I almost disvalued your time. I was spending time with my kids and I look up, I'm like, I'm supposed to be, and then I was like, oh, come on, my dog. And then I was like, hopefully he'll bless me with another opportunity.
Man, you never ever give the first time, and that's something that you learn in the car business. Every no or every circumstance that does not go your way, you show persistence at it. And what the message that the things that I'm trying to do, it ain't about me. It's about getting this message to people, man. So somebody's going to click on this, man, and we're going to help somebody. Somebody's going to click on this and they're going to say, you know what? You right, man. Y'all absolutely right. And they're going to change their life, man. They're going to go from where they are to where they wish they could be. And they know the rule. Each one teach one, man. Bless somebody if you can. That is the way. Being a servant leader is so important. And I had to learn the definition of that word, man, because it wasn't in my vocabulary at the beginning. And I'm on my journey in here. Am I a leader at my dealership? Absolutely. Am I a work in progress, getting better every day? Yeah, because my definition of being a leader is getting better every day. Having podcasts like this, having conversations with people who can help, people who can give me advice, people who can point out shortcomings that I need to improve on. I learned a whole bunch, man. I'm actually excited to go back to work tomorrow because I got some work to do. And man, I'm a dog when it comes to my job. The car dealership, dude, look here. That's my home. That's what I like. That's what I do. That's my safe place. When my old man passed in December, man, on a Monday, I'm off on Tuesday. I went back to my safe place.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you, bro, because that's my safe place. That's the place that I can go where I don't really even have to think. I can just react because it's in me to do that. And I don't have to think about things, man. But I am reaching a point where at 48 years old, I'm blessed enough to say, hey, I want to help somebody else become, you want to find your replacement. You want to find the person that that's going to love the people like you do,
Yeah.
that's going to appreciate the hard work like you do, that's going to put in the hard work like you will, and take care of the people that you have to take care of, because we're all responsible for people, man. You know, my why is my wife. That's my why. And like I said, the why is so important. I mean, I wipe out 10 zip codes, boy. I can't, you can't even believe how important she is to me, man. So
Love that.
That right there is my absolute why. But I digress. Man, I appreciate you coming on, man. We can help some people, bro. We can taught some people something. And car dealers, I'm telling you right now, this brother know what he's doing. And if you're not where you need to be, get with him so he can get you where you need to be. You know me, man. I'm easy to find. If you want something, just reach out, dog. I got you. I don't even care about nothing except for helping people at this point, because I'm gonna be blessed. When you bless other people, blessings come your way. That's just how it goes. But man, thank you for coming on, brother. Hey, as the adage goes, one word, two fingers, peace.
Peace.
Look, self-made entrepreneur, no manure. I'm number one. Goose down, jacket, maverick, top gun. Do it B.I.G. like Biggie, big pun. Look, he